Hey everyone, this is your OG, and this is another Godforge video. This marks our first patch notes that we've gotten, and after Wave 1, the question on everyone's mind has got to be, who's getting nerfed? I mean, some of the heroes kits in Wave 1 cause the game struggles, and while not every solution will be a nerf of their kit, in some cases we will show you why we think that's exactly what they need. This is our first dev dive, so without further ado, let's optimize. All right, so we're here at the patch notes. Big changes for Wave 2 in Godforge Alpha. All right, so we are going to go through this real quick and give you some ideas of what to expect. First, hero unbinding. You will be able to do this now in the Wave 2 that you were not able to do in Wave 1. Okay, you will be able to exchange your heroes for experience, XP. That's what this blue is, experience, and also the appropriate number of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5-star spirits, depending on the rarity of the hero. For instance, a common will give you a 1-star spirit, an uncommon a 2-star, rare 3-star, and so on. But this cannot be undone, but it will be a lot, that's understood, so you can't go backwards with it, but it's going to be a faster way to focus your resources on the heroes you've decided to invest in, okay? So that's going to be a great quality of life add where you can unbind your heroes and get just sort of the resources that they represent. Heroes will be rewarded, as we said, by their rarity, and you'll get this appropriate spirit. Their experience will scale on rank and the level at which they've reached, but again, can't be undone. So if you've got a high level, 40 or 50, and you're going to get a lot of experience, but you cannot undo that, so you won't be able to get that hero back. Also, Caverns of Chaos is being rebalanced a little. So, big note, new enemy heroes will be given new powers and have increased resistance and accuracy after floor 90. So your resistance and accuracy are going to need to go up as well, or at least you're going to need to pay attention to them and know what thresholds to be above. Your OG will be live streaming and getting through all of the content in Wave 1. We got 64 of the 67 heroes we collected. We did 120 of it was very close to almost all of the 2-star bonuses. We got all the way up to level 150. We beat level 151. Yeah, so your OG is going to be there with you, feeding that information back to you, back to our cluster, and then out through Raven Pyro's Gaming and through Scrolls of Anubis, the 2 websites that are connected with us in our cluster. So we will be putting out what are those resistance, what are those accuracy levels that you need to be at after floor 90 to really, and what debuffs are working very well, and exactly how are you using those to clear enemy waves that are going to be, in my opinion, probably a little bit more difficult. Okay, they mention that they've made some new economy upgrades, okay? So they doubled the Ascension Stones across all the stages, which is great. That should help with the bottleneck around Eternal Ascension Stones, which I didn't have so much of a hard time getting all the other Ascension Stones. It was really the Eternal Ascension Stones, and you wind up with quite a few Eternal heroes of epic and legendary rarity, and they take a lot of Ascension Stones to get those ascended. So that's cool. It looks like they are trying to work on that bottleneck. They're going to also increase the 2-star spirit drop rates at higher stages. So that'll be helpful as you're trying to farm up food to 3, 4 stars to be able to use to get your heroes up to 5 and 6 stars. Stage 120 will now drop gear with higher quality levels so that you can auto farm 120 not only for coin but for gear as well. So that makes it kind of a dual purpose, which is nice versus having to go farm the specific level for the specific type of gear you want. This way you know you're going to get a certain number of gear pieces and pretty high quality, and that whatever you roll and get, you'll probably be able to use them. So this makes 120 really a really good auto farming level once you're past it and have the team built for it. Rebalanced ability upgrades for better reward distribution. I don't exactly understand what that means. Ability upgrades. So I don't know how the hero's abilities upgraded would give you better reward distribution, but maybe they looked at their numbers and realized you needed more of this or more of that to be able to actually build your hero properly, and we weren't able to get enough of this or enough of that, or we didn't know where to, or whatever it was. So they rebalanced some of the ability upgrades, probably some of the ascensions, maybe bonuses are different, or the awakening bonuses are different. I'm not sure which of it they're referring to here. Dragonfire is heating up, okay? So Fafnir gets a bit of an improvement as well here. And so we are expecting to see him be a tougher boss at 150 and at 151. Not that he wasn't tough, but we had some broken pieces that made it really not as hard as it possibly could have been or should have been. So it'll be exciting to get a real good tough fight with Fafnir and have to really understand the mechanics and not be able to cheese it with, you know, some weapon that works really great or with some hero that's broken, not working right. So this will be a more honest and fair fight against Fafnir, and it will give a better feedback to you as the gamer as to how you're doing. Because in the first wave, you might have gotten by with something that was working but shouldn't have. As those things are taken away, now it's just left to how well do you understand the boss, how well do you understand the mechanics, how well do you understand the statistics and all the pieces you need in order to defeat this boss. Are you assigning a center of gravity? Are you assigning a critical vulnerability? What is your main point of attack? You know, what is your main effort? All of these things we're going to help you, you know, see how you're going to get through the content. But I'm excited. It's going to get a little bit harder, I imagine. Hopefully not so hard. I hope they don't swing too far back in the other direction and it becomes almost impossible because you don't have any of those pieces. But I think they're bracketing, as we did in the Marine Corps with artillery fire. You know, you shoot a little far, you shoot a little short, and then you work your way in. So I think they're bracketing their way in. I just hope they don't go too far in the other direction and make it so hard that nobody finishes 150. But I feel like they'll probably understand that balance. Based on their data and based on what they saw from, you know, 5,500 players in the first wave. Also, we got some UI improvements. So the mobile should be improving a little bit. We didn't play on mobile, so on the phone. But that should be a smoother experience, they're saying, for like upgrading your heroes and doing some of that account work. I'm sure that's hard enough on a phone where it's littler. So they worked on that. And then it said the most requested feature was a way to see the realm. I assume that means the faction. Like that's the faction they come from. I guess they're calling them realms, not factions. So we had never really, I don't think we'd seen that before. So I guess we should scrap the word faction and go with realm if I'm following their branding. So it was very difficult in the Alpha 1 to look at your hero screen and tell which heroes were from which faction or realm and which ones were chaos or order. I mean, you had to go in and look at each one individually. It would have been nice to be able to just see from a high level. Okay, and now I remember the videos back a couple months back where they were talking about what to keep in, what to take out of the UI, and they thought and we said too, taking out more was better. It made it look more immersive, but we're also trying to find the balance between what we need for information to be able to navigate the challenges and navigate the battles kind of without having to always go back and dig all the way to the lowest level and then find our answer and then come all the way back out and do that again for another hero and another, you know. So we want to be able to do some things as a kind of a collective action or know things very easily just by looking at them. And so they're looking to upgrade that with the realms of the heroes, which we will make sure to call it a realm, not a faction. There were some camera updates. Now this is cool. We are going to show you some of these different camera updates right now. There we go. Let's get me out of the way. So this is their POV, okay? This POV replaces the DEF that we had for that cinematic experience where you kind of go in and out of the fight. I think they did a great job. It looks really good already. I'm surprised by how quickly they were able to get this changed. So they have been working hard for sure. And I think that this looks a lot better. There was some struggles here with being almost too in close to the boss. But this looks like they're they're overcoming that. I will say I don't know if a hero has to do a single point attack and come in on the boss. It's like they almost need to include a jump up. I know they won't be able to do that for everybody in time, but in the future it almost seems like they have to include a bit of a jump up to make that work. Now we're gonna see the top view. This is the top view of the Fafnir fight. Okay, so you can see it's top, and we're 2 times auto. But it looks good. It's capturing everything when it goes in and out. I know one of the challenges we saw was that it was like off-centered. If you had like Lady Zoc in the lead role, now here she's in the middle of the team, so it's not as bad, but when she's in like Anubis's role, it would pull the camera kind of and be off-center. But it seems like with this view, they've fixed that. We'll test as well and see. But top was a good view I found for these fights, as you're trying to see a lot of things, your buffs, his buffs, and it looks a lot cleaner. If you notice, the buffs were a lot easier to see. They mentioned increasing the size of them a little bit. This is another top run here, I believe, with the same team. Yep, same team. So we will see this one. I like this. This is a more static view from behind. Okay, we'll let it run through, and I think they're each about a minute at most. All right, second wave. So this gives us more of that static angle from behind, so we can see our whole team, see everything. Like you can see there's a charm down here that's not on a sold but is on a sold. There's a mend, so it seems like we are going to get debuffs and buffs on us quite a bit more than we did in wave 1. And that tells me this is the Isis, might be level 50. This is level 50, it looks like. So it tells me that we are going to have to prioritize res more, even maybe more so than we did in the first wave. And we did prioritize res in the first wave. So that is the top view. Now the last view we're going to show you is the ACT view. This replaces the 3/4 view and is a balance, they said, between the cinematic and the top. So let's look at this one, okay? So kind of top version here, but then it kind of goes to almost over their shoulder as they run, and it's also cinematic as they come in on the fight, it looks like. Okay. Let's see it against Fafnir. Okay. So far, I think this is all the same opening cinematic. Okay, so... Alright, it pulled back for him a little bit, so that's good. You can see more of him. You're not, like, losing his whole face off the top. Okay. Okay, so when he attacks, kind of brings it in close. Alright, and then we have one more. This is our last ACT view that they provided. So we will see. You can see all the defense ups go. The vanish is on Anubis. Now we have drains or acids, I should say. So you can see them very clearly. The buffs and debuffs look good. These are all improvements that we are expecting to see now in Wave 2 because of these patch notes. So looks like the UI, you can definitely see it cleaned up. It's like a little bit bigger. It looks like a little bit more clear to read. It was small, and when things are moving fast, or even at one time speed, when things were just moving, it was hard to keep track and be able to see easily and quickly what was happening. Okay, so takes out everyone but Isis, and that is... So those are our views. So that's pretty interesting that we've got some camera upgrades. Let me bring myself back. So we've got some camera upgrades. And then in addition to the camera upgrades, we also got in-battle information, which is incredible. So this eye on the right side, we would click it in Wave 1, didn't give us anything. Now in Wave 2, they're turning this on so that you can see the buffs and the debuffs that are on your team and on the enemy. hugely powerful when it comes to understanding what is happening to you and why you can't get by it, you know, without this, and trying to capture what was on them real quick. It was very challenging to understand what you were up against, and then of course how to build a team to counter it, and it left you feeling kind of like, okay, they just crushed me, I don't know, I don't have any feedback. So this is so important, so powerful, really a great feature that they're bringing in here for wave 2. So I'm really excited about that. We'll be able to tell what's going on in a fight, and you know, on both sides. That's huge. Bug fixes galore. They mention, you know, fixing more than 100 bugs between the two. Things like combat freezes, disables and locks that work on Fafnir and Golden Garden, which I didn't even know disables weren't supposed to work on Fafnir. I didn't realize that. I just thought Pandora, I had built her with enough accuracy and it all seemed to work right. But in the future, apparently, Fafnir will not be able to take any disables. We knew locks were out, but I hadn't seen disables. It just said he took them off and gave himself, like, divinity. But, so that probably will be the way it actually works, is if you put disables on, he will just take it off and get divinity, so you won't want to use disables. But for a while, Pandora was awesome on that regard against Fafnir. And we'll talk here in a little bit, right next, about hero rebalancing, okay? So this is the question everybody wants to know, is who's getting nerfed, you know? Who's getting hacked down? So you see the list here. It says this is not exhaustive. These are all heroes that they looked at, worked on. We'll call out a few of them. And then the ones with the asterisk here, they got a little bit more significant upgrade, because they broke things or they had produced a poor player experience. So we're going to go through them just a little bit. Achilles, you got to just stop dying, bro, and coming back with a new 50% attack multiplier that scales indefinitely. That's not fair, you know, so I'm sure they're going to take that out. That's what my guess is for Achilles' nerf, okay? But not really a nerf. He just needs to, that's not a, that's too much, you know? So he's still very strong. I think he's going to still be very strong. But yeah, we got to take out that ability for him to be killed and revived and keep getting 50% attack upgrade. That is just too much. Aphrodite, one of my favorites. I had her. My recommendation for fixing Aphrodite is on her ultimate, take away the buff extension. It seemed like the number of buffs and the fact that she was extending a buff every time she did her ultimate was why the buffs got up to 70, 80, 90, 100 and then caused the memory leaks and the slowdown. So it feels like, to me, the easiest way to fix her is to just simply take out that buff extension piece out of her ultimate. I still think she's amazing with her kit, but if she doesn't extend that buff, maybe she doesn't break the game. You know, maybe she can still play, and I think that's more important. So that's Aphrodite. Asag, oh, my buddy, don't leave Asag alone. I don't know, maybe he had something that was messed up with them, or maybe they're increasing his abilities. I'm not sure. Bastet Bauk, I don't have anything particular. Beowulf would do some really crazy damage, so just fix his broken multiplier or mechanic or whatever was causing obscene damage that he shouldn't have been doing. I didn't love Beowulf. I thought his kit was too obvious. I don't know if that's a bad thing to say, but it's like, come on, when your kit says you do damage against a boss, it's like, everyone's like, oh, use him for a boss. Like, I don't know. I just felt like he was a little too obvious. I just saw it and I was like, no, I'm not using him for a boss. I'm going to figure this out with something else. That's just me. I own it. But I just didn't want, I don't know. I didn't want to use the guy that said he's good against the boss. I just felt like that was too obvious, so I didn't. But I guess they'll fix his multiplier, his damage that was broken. Dracula, his kit, I think if it just works properly, is good. But I don't think it was working properly. I think his revive, kind of like Hercules, was broken and was reviving no matter how many times. He also should probably have a limit on how many revives he can get. Like, maybe it's only a 2 revive limit. I know it says on the first time he's killed, but I think he was able to keep being revived, and so was Hercules. So both of them kind of have that same invincibility issue. And I think if you just can cap maybe how many times they can be revived, or I noticed that Drax, if he's under sleep, but it doesn't say what happens if he's under sleep when this happens. Does he not revive? It just doesn't say, so it's kind of unclear as to know how to fix it exactly, but perhaps with Drac and with Hercules, if you just limit the number of times they can be revived by their passive, ultimate, whatever that is that they're using, it should be a passive, but that would fix them. Hel, I had Hel. She was my second Lego. I'm all Asgard, so I was so super excited. But she didn't put Confuse for 2 turns on all enemies when she did her ultimate. She just simply revived them all, so that was no good. So if you just fix the Confuse piece, she'd be an amazing control/attack hero that would hit hard and be able to put, when brought to her ultimate, would be able to put a Confuse on everyone, and that's brought back, and then basically let them do work on who's left while you clean them up. So could be very powerful if it worked right. So I see that being an easy change. Hercules, same thing as Drac. Just fix the invincibility thing so he can't keep being revived infinitely. And he had some weird stuff with his kit where, like, after 1 or 2 times, all of a sudden he would get crazy strong. And, like, it was almost as though he'd already gotten to his 12 labors, but he hadn't had his ultimate once. So, like, he went to, like, full strength somehow. So, obviously, just fix that. And I think his kit is still hard to get by and a great stopping point at, like, in the mid-90s. I think he's a perfect first kind of stopping hero to give you that stopping point. Pandora looks like she probably won't be able to land disables on Fafnir or Golden Guardian anymore, so our Can't Touch This MC Hammer team is dead. But it was fun while it lasted. I didn't know that you weren't able to put disables on the bosses. It didn't say that in the kit. So it said that he took disables off of himself and got divinity, and obviously I tested a number of other disables didn't work or would fall off, or you would take them off. So that seems like they were working appropriately, I guess. And Pandora's was not. So she will unlikely be able, not be as good in Wave 2 in terms of Fafnir or Golden Guardian and locking them out of their abilities. So the Can't Touch This MC Hammer team is dead, I think. But we knew that would probably be the case. But it was fun. It was fun while it lasted. This is the fun of Alpha Wave 1, is that you get to call out something stupid, even though it's not going to last. It's not going to make it to the game. Just because it was a fun experience as part of the testing. Shamash. Let's call out. So Musashi, the madness should be over, I believe. And as well as maybe, we'll talk about a few more bug fixes here when we get down here. Shamash, obviously, his ultimate kind of worked like a passive, where as soon as you killed anybody on his team, he revived them, and that's his ultimate. I thought it was his passive because I didn't have Shamash. I'm like, oh man, he's got a revive on his passive. That's crazy. But he doesn't. He has a revive on his ultimate, and for some reason, if you hit anybody else on the team, he just revives them automatically and puts Radiance and Barrier and goes crazy. So, like, that is all that needs to be fixed on him, is just that his ultimate works like an ultimate, not a passive, and he's still strong, but he's not impossible at that point. Shinigami, show his effects, because his effects weren't showing up, and then obviously Tristane removed the pink box. That would be great. Some bug fixes, okay? Passives and imprints were not always working. That's been updated. They said that now they should show. Cooldown bonuses from ability upgrades were not reflecting. We saw that with our Aphrodite. We had her skills all the way tomed up as an ultimate, and she wasn't showing the 3-turn cooldown on her core. She was showing always a 5-turn cooldown. She was still crazy good, so we're like trading. I'm sure we're going to be trading one for the other. Her cooldown's going to be working right this time, but we're going to maybe take away that buff extension or some part of her ultimate to keep her from just going absolutely crazy and breaking the game with too many buffs. Hero promotion would fail. They said this was something that would keep you from being able to upgrade your heroes. This was, I think, where we had our 5-star spirit duplication bug. We tried to use our first 2 5-star spirits to upgrade a hero. It didn't work, and then it gave us not only the 2 we used back, but it gave us 2 more. I didn't notice that. I wasn't like trying to duplicate it. I didn't notice that. I just went, all right, that hero didn't work. That's weird. Maybe it's that hero. Let's try and update it. Oh, let's try and promote another hero. So I did it with like 5 or 6 heroes, but each time I would do it, and I think I did notice at one point, because I wound up with like 5 5-star spirits where I only had 2 a second ago. So I went to upgrade another one, and I'm like, whoa, I have more 5-star spirits. So then I tried to upgrade it with 4 5-star spirits the second time and 1 of my 5-star food heroes, and it didn't work, and the 4 spirits duplicated. I got the 4 back plus another 4. So then I did it again with 5, and I did that 3 or 4 more times. I had like 50 or 65 star spirits by the end of it, and of course I was able to upgrade or promote about 20 heroes by the end of the 8 days, 20 heroes to the 6 star, which was great because I got to use them fully built out. Like, really, how does this hero work? You know, does this hero actually hit hard enough to be useful, or is it still, you know, just not enough? So that was powerful. Added missing awakening bonuses. Some heroes just didn't show their awakening bonuses, so obviously I wasn't wasting awakenings on them because I didn't know what I was getting. But so they're going to be showing now. That's great. Lock debuffs were working on Fafnir and GG. That's interesting. I think I noticed a lock debuff on Golden Guardian. I don't think I remember seeing one on Fafnir, but I had stopped using Dagonet, I think, at that point. So they won't go forward. They won't be able to work just as his kit reads going forward. Both bosses could lose turn meter and divinity permanently. That won't be the case in Wave 2. Retaliate and counterattack was causing a lot of freezing for the game and up to like 30-second delays. And debuffs causing damage were also triggering counterattack and retaliate. So it was causing a real crunch on the game. So we're not exactly sure how they're going to fix it exactly. But that's something that they said has been fixed. What else did we see here? The Musashi madness is over. So Musashi doing his infinite counterattacks until he dies of reflect damage or kills his other self or other teammate is over. Hopefully that is a good thing to see. Horus also has let go of his anger. He's in counseling with Isis, and they're expecting a much less abusive strategy for Wave 2. If you noticed, Isis and Horus would like permanently counterattack each other. So they are in therapy and doing much better, and that should be resolved for Wave 2. Hercules could never die. We talked about that. It was just that his passive wasn't working exactly as it was reading, so I think they fixed it. The acid debuff would reduce your team's stats, not the enemy. Good thing we didn't pick Ramses, I guess, on that one. It granted you Aether Stones when it shouldn't have. We did. We got like 5 Aether Stones, and I was like, I guess maybe this is towards the launch. But no, it wasn't supposed to do that. So that was cool. I captured that. I got some first Aether Stones in Godforge. I definitely got like 5 of them, I think, throughout the first 100 waves or so. So then it fixed on one of their patch updates. Disabled heroes will now show in a disabled state. Like, they won't look like they're ready to attack. They'll be in like a disabled state or like something. I don't know. We're not sure what it looks like exactly, but that will change. And then several of the challenges didn't give you credit when completed. We counted at least 4 or 5 of the 2 stars that didn't. So they're fixing those. And then they improved memory performance and game stability. So that is our first patch notes for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We're just going to wrap it up here. And hopefully this gives you a good bit of information. Wave 2 is 1 day and 21 hours away. Thanks to Raven Pyros Gaming showing us that. We're getting excited. We're going to be going back into Wave 2. EuroG is going to be live streaming. So thank you for sticking with it all the way through this patch notes update with me. Take care of yourself. And remember, play smarter.